Darkness seems to make silence.
It's true. So peaceful. Seems like Sant'Agata. Can't even hear the carriages go by.
Oh, you mind going around via Manzoni, either through Monte Napoleone or via Croce Rossa?
Well, is it for Verdi?
Yes, for Verdi. Verdi, go on.
Oh.
Carelli!
Huh? Through here.
Let's go. Hand it down. Oh, are you tuned up?
Yes.
Good. Not a word, huh? Quiet. Hurry.
Up ahead.
Playing.
Hmm?
La Traviata.
The prelude. Well, what? In the street. They've taken over the whole street.
It's for you, Verdi. Go. They're playing for you.
Hmm? On the balcony?
Yes.
You mean...
Go on. Verdi. Hey, Verdi.
Hmm?
Verdi.
What?
Your coat.
Well, not now. You put it on.
This is glory.
Thank you, my friend. Many thanks. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. And my gratitude to you, Maestro. And to all your players. Thank you.
Maestro, another opera. Another opera. You must give us another Aida. Another Aida.
I'm too old. I must step down. It's time.
Well, that's nonsense. You're not too old.
Look at him. He's a youngster.
There aren't many young ones who've got your fire and vigor, Maestro. You can't refuse us.
We need another one.
Look at me, Maestro. I'm still raring to go.
But for this great orchestra of La Scala, perhaps a symphony.
Maestro, we're waiting for another opera. A new one.
To publish, eh? Forgive me, friends. It's getting cold. At my age, I have to take care of myself. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you all. Good night.
Ah, gentlemen.
Julia.
Verdi's to write a new opera, for which you, Arrigo Boito, shall write the libretto.
I'd be more than happy to write for Verdi, but what opera?
What opera? We'll discuss that later, but for the present, don't mention anything. He's from Busseto. The idea is to approach it with his kind of diplomacy.
I see.
Before Verdi went back to Sant'Agata, Giulio Ricordi achieved one important thing. He had Verdi meet Boito.
Faccio, hang on a minute. I'm gonna have another cup of coffee. Hang on. Wait.
More coffee?
Here we go again. But aren't you nervous enough as it is? Nervous? Why should I be nervous? We're just paying a friendly visit.
Ricordi has made me promise. That's compromising me publicly. And with a man like Boito. These young men.
But this is the third time you're reading Othello. You're nervous?
Me? Late. Peppina, you.
Me.
Maestro Faccia and Maestro Boito are here.
Tell them to come up.
You may show them up.
We better get some coffee, huh?
It's right there, behind you.
Oh. Come in.
Go ahead in.
Ah, Boito. Faccio. Of course, you know each other. Giuseppina, you know Signor Boito, don't you?
Boito, of course. Composer, writer, and poet. Isn't that so? A poet?
Yes, of course, a poet. Coffee?
Yes, thank you.
What is it? It's not the time for coffee?
Oh, no, Maestro. It's just that before coming up, Boito, to fortify himself, already had two.
No, it wasn't for that.
Ah, then you'll be completely fortified with a third cup. Coffee is balm for the soul. And for the body, too.
Do please sit down. Verdi likes to stand. Faccio, you're at home here. No singing.
The flood in the Po region, the triumph of the benefit performance of the Requiem, Faccio's serenade that same night. All these things paved the way, and the final thrust will come from this nervous younger man, sensitive yet firm. Verdi was studying him closely.
I'm sure nightingales invented serenades, but what I heard the other night was... I was seated there in the dark. Did you hear it, Boito?
Yes, I had come with a friend, Giuseppe Giacosa.
Giacosa? The one who wrote the game of chess?
Yes, Maestro. And finally, when the applause broke out, Giacosa said, seeing you up there on the balcony, "Well, Boito, this is glory."
Here's the coffee, nice and hot.
Verdi.
No.
Verdi is naturally distrustful. This is the same Boito who wrote that offensive poem, Decadence and Banality. 2 more years will pass before Boito is invited for the first time to Sant'Agata.
Well then, Boito, faccio. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
An honor, Maestro. There was one other little thing I wanted to talk to you.
Well, what is it?
I'm sorry. What a marvelous story. Shakespeare's Othello.
Othello? But
The wild and primitive innocence of the Moor against the cunning of Iago. The civilization of a corruptible Venice, rushing rapidly down the path of decadence, poisoning the trusting innocence of the Moor, who is still unblemished by that civilization, and perfidious Iago, hiding behind the semblance of an honest man.
Iago?
Yes, Maestro. A wicked man who at first glance doesn't look wicked at all. Something only your music can give, the duplicity of character. And an elegant and carefree Iago who says terrible things lightly. So much so that if someone should say to him, "But what you say is infamous," he would reply, "Oh, really? That wasn't my intention."
Yes.
By these smooth and wicked hands, the Moor, primitive as a force of nature, is pushed to an insensate jealousy, more violent than a hurricane with which the opera begins.
A hurricane? No. Shakespeare begins with Othello, who is secretly married Desdemona.
Oh, no. It's much more dramatic if the curtain opens on the hurricane and Othello arrives from Cyprus in spite of the fury of the storm. Then the tempest dies down. The people rejoice. Iago begins in the dark of the night to weave his terrible plot. For Desdemona and Othello, after their flight from Venice, and after their frightening storm at sea, it is their first night of love, under the stars of the western sky.
Did you have to wait till you were going to speak about all this? Sit down, stay.
Oh, no, we can't stay. Thank you, but, Maestro, with your permission, tomorrow, if I may, I'd like to bring over a synopsis I've been working on, based on Othello.
Well, yes, I'd be delighted. The day after tomorrow, you said.
Yes, the day after tomorw, at this time.
Very
It was
well.
nice to
Fine.
see you.
Good.
A good day.
Maestro,
Faccio? Good.
it couldn't have been better, eh?
It was terrible. You're about as lively as a mummy. You sit there in silence. When it's time for us
It's
to
the
go.
best way. It's the best way to broach it. Now I've got to write an outline of the whole story.
What was the lot you just said?
Pure invention. I made the whole thing up on the spot.
Great.
So, sending me the synopsis the day after tomorrow. So, I'm committed still further.
But you agreed to it. You liked his ideas.
Yes, I know.
You always can send a note to him and say, "Dear Boito, I've changed my mind."
Changing ideas like a clown. Everybody ties me down. Giulio Ricordi, Faccio, Boito, and now you. Because I'm 70, they say my music is old. They don't want arias, voices, just zoom, zoom, zoom from the orchestra. If I start zooming, they'll say Wagner, and if I don't, they'll say he's played out.
The secret is to be diplomatic. Tell Boito to write the libretto and then have a little meeting. And if the synopsis is acceptable, then you go ahead with it. If not, then you don't.
If not. That's not the point. Tying me down.
Oh, my lord. We've been through all this before. It's worth it, but oh, my lord.
Boito was no longer a youth. He was 36. The ultimate success of his Mephistopheles in Paris and London had made him world famous. But his love of Verdi impelled him to set aside the opera he'd been working on, Nero, and turn his hand to Othello.